Hello, how are you? This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and this is part 2 of our Traveler's Notebook. In the first part, we made 2 pockets. We made this insert with the double pockets, and we made this insert with the giant pocket. And in this one, we're going to do a note, like a notebook and a notepad. Now, typically you'd put 3 inserts in a Traveler's Notebook, but you know, some people like the notebook, some people like a pad. So we're going to do both of them, okay? All right. So, supplies for this one: glue, scoreboard, scoring tools, paper trimmer, all the normals. A ruler is very helpful in this one. You're going to need some kind of clip or clamp, 2 of them at least. Let's see what else. Maybe some washi tape, you know, that goes with your paper, your decorated paper. And that's pretty much going to be it for this one. So I'm going to give you a minute to go and gather your supplies, and then we will get started. I am going to be using the same heavyweight craft paper for these as I did for the first 2. So I have some 12 by 12 of that, and that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to go get your supplies, and I'll be right back. All right, so we're going to start with cutting a piece of paper. This is a 12 by 12 sheet, so we're going to cut it down to 8 by 12. Now we're going to do a little bit more cutting, but first we're going to do some scoring. So we're going to put this in with the 12 inches going across the top. And if you remember, our book cover is 8 1/4 inches tall and 4 1/4 inches wide. So all of our inserts are 8 by 4. So we're going to come in here at 4, and we're going to score this. Don't do this really hard. Just do it real easy. 5, 6, 7 times, whatever it takes. Just nice and easy, slowly putting it in. And then we're going to come over here to 8 inches, and we're going to score at 8. Okay? Now remember, wherever there's a hill becomes a valley. So now I have a hill, I'm going to turn it into a valley. Make sure that my edges line up nice. Just go over it with my bone folder. And then I'm going to do the other side, same thing. Okay. Now, I'm going to cut just a scant amount off of one side. Like 1/8 of an inch, okay? Because that's going to come in and become a pocket. Now, do I want my pocket on the right, or do I want my pocket on the left? And I think I'm going to put this pocket on the left, and it's going to be a slash pocket. So I'm going to get my ruler and my pencil, and I'm going to come up 2 inches from the bottom. I'm going to put a mark right here. And then I'm going to put, helps if you put the mark on the paper. Two inches and a mark. And then I'm going to put a mark right here at the top corner. So I'm going to cut from that top corner to that 2-inch mark. Okay? Now you can do this with scissors, or you can do it with your trimmer, however you want to do it. I'm pretty comfortable just doing it here on the chopper. And this is now going to become a pocket, okay? So this will be my front cover. And when I open it up, I'm going to have a pocket here. And then I'll have all of my stuff. So now I'm going to erase any pencil marks that are left. Get rid of those. And we're going to do some measuring. So this piece over here, we know this is 4 inches by 8 inches. So 7 3/4 by 3 3/4. 2 pieces. One for the inside, one for the outside. Over here, same thing. Okay? This should be 4 inches. 7 3/4 by 3 3/4. 2 pieces. Now this piece. This one is 3 3/4 by 7 3/4. So 7 1/2 by 3 1/2. We only need one of those. Okay? So you're going to cut 2 for the inside, 2 for your outside, and 1 for this pocket. All right? So again, you want 2 that are 7 3/4 by 3 3/4 for the inside, 2 that are 7 3/4 by 3 3/4 for the outside, and then 1 that is 7 1/2 by 3 1/2 for this slash pocket. Okay? So go and cut your paper. Be mindful of your directions. Go and cut your paper, and then we'll come back. If you want to add an extra pocket over here, you know, like a just like an upright slot, regular pocket here, just cut it to the height that you want and subtract 1/4 inch from that, both in the width and the height, in order to put a pocket over on this side, if you wanted to put just a regular tuck pocket in here. Okay? And if you want to gusset this pocket, make sure that you cut your 1/2 inch strip for that. Okay? So I'm going to show you how to do that, so no big deal. But go cut your paper, and I'll be right back. All right, so we have 2 for the outside, here and here, 2 for the inside, 1 here, and 1 over here. And then I cut this for the pocket over here. I'm gonna show you how to do that. And I did decide to put a small pocket over here. So I cut this, this is 2 3/4 by 4. So this is 2 1/2 by 4, by 2 3/4, by 3 3/4. And we're gonna do that same notch out effect on this as well. Okay, so ink. It's time to round corners and ink. So we're going to round top corner, the bottom corner, this bottom corner, that top corner, this one over here. Now, see that? Can you guys see that? Probably not. There's a little bit of the tail sticking out there. I'm just going to use my little scissors to make it conform, okay? All right, so I'm going to ink the center all the way around. On here, I'm going to ink this edge, all the way, and then my 2 folds on the outside and all the way around. I'm going to ink all my paper after I round all my corners. Okay. I'm going to round the bottom corners on this pocket because it's going to go here. So we want that to match. And I am going to gusset this, so I did pull a piece of 1 inch from one of the other ones that I did, and I had a little piece left over, so I was able to use that to do the pocket. So I'm going to ink everything. I am going to get everything ready to go, and we will get all of this glued in. We'll glue in these 2 and the 2 on the outside, and then we'll come back and I'll walk you through this pocket and this pocket, okay? So go ink everything and get your mats for your inside and outside put in, and then when we come back we will do the pocket, okay? All right, go ink. See you in a minute. Okay, so we have this all inked and we have our papers on, and we're going to be doing the pocket. Now, on the other pocket that we did, because it was a folded over pocket, we only put these on the sides, but this one, since it's a flat pocket, we're going to put one on the bottom as well. So we'll do the bottom first. Okay. And that just makes it easier to do the sides because we're basically creating the fold. So on the bottom, I'm going to put this in the middle, right up against that bottom line. We'll pull out that tail, and now we've created that, that fold there. So now we'll put the sides on, and then we'll progress to get the rest of this done. So let me go ahead and pull my little flag here. Now we want to put these as close to the top as we can. Because it just makes it easier, so you're not tearing things. So again, I'm just gonna put this one on the side. And then I'm going to attach the bottom first. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and do the sides. One, Phew. Some glue on either one. And this is just a little bit to the right so that it doesn't interfere with the fold. And there's our pocket. And then we're going to work on this side. So this needs to sit on here, about like that, but we have to have that piece at the top. So again, we're going to take this piece, we're going to put it twice the distance up that we want it, get it centered, and then we're just going to trace a line. Make sure you have it going in the right direction, and then we'll go ahead and cut that off. Let's go ahead and test that. Beautiful. So we're going to round the bottom corners here. Double the paper up because this is copy weight. There we go. Now we'll ink this up, and once we have it inked, we can adhere it down. And then we can finish this pocket. Now, if you want to gusset this pocket, you can. I just find that to be a little bit bulky. But, you know, it's a matter of personal preference. All right. Okay. All right, so now we have that on. And like I said, you can gusset this piece if you want to, or you can just glue it down. And I am just going to glue mine down. So I'm going to glue from the point here over and then up my side here. Okay. So now I have a slash pocket here, and I have a nice roomy pocket over here. And now we're going to make this into a notebook. So I'm going to get out some regular paper. It doesn't matter. It can be tea dyed or regular, you know, copy paper, whatever you want to use. It could even be regular lined paper from a notepad. But go ahead and get that out, and you're going to get out about 6-7 sheets. And I'll be back and I'll show you how we're going to put the paper in. Okay? Be right back. Okay. So I have a couple of different kinds of paper here. We'll talk about this. This is regular lined paper from a legal pad. It is 8.5 inches across, And if I'm going to cut paper to fit in here, it would be 8 inches, and that means that I would have some portion of this on one side of like half my pages. So let's take a look at this one. So this is from a ledger, and from the line over, it is only 6.5 inches, which means it would be 3¼ inches wide, and 3¼ inches wide would make my paper way in here. Okay, so we don't want to do that. The other option here is to come from the edge, but then again, half the pages end up with this mark. So I have these, and this is paper out of like a journal book, you know, like a diary. These are perforated here, and they have the backing. So I think this is probably the best candidate for this particular book, for this style. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take about 6 sheets, and that is 6 signatures, and I'm going to stack these together. Because I just want to see, you know, how well that works. And if I don't like it, if it's too thick, whatever, I can add or take away as needed. So right now I'm just looking for, you know, width. And I think I could probably put another couple of pages in there. So I will be adding a few more pages. So what I'm going to do is I am going to cut this down to the height that I need it to be. And that is 7 3/4 tall. And this is just at 8 inches. So I'm just going to be taking 1/4 inch off the bottom here. And you can do this on a trimmer, or, you know, however you want to do it. For me, it just works, you know. Let me get the metal ruler, it's a little easier. So that's the width that I want. I'm just checking height here. That's why I've only cut one. I think I'm going to take another 1/4 inch off and make this 7.5, just to see if I like that. Oh yeah, that's much better. Yeah, I like that much better as far as height. So I'm going to cut my paper down to 7.5 inches. And then my across here is going to be 3 3/4. This is 4 inches out. So I'm probably going to go about 3.5. That's going to give me a little extra. So I'm going to cut these down to 3.5 inches from the fold to 3.5, and down to 7.5 inches. And once I have them all cut, I'll be back and we'll get it all put together. Be right back. All right, so I have all my pages and they're all together. Now, here's a trick to help reduce the creep when you're cutting your pages, the height isn't a problem, but this width is, and you can end up with that creep where your pages come out. If you just barely move them just a hair, cut 2 at a time and cut it at your mark, and then just a hair off and 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 a hair off, you will end up with your pages not creeping. Just a trick. Okay, so the scraps from this are really too small for me to do anything with, so I'm going to get rid of them. And so we're going to do this just like we would a regular journal. Okay, but because it's just a notepad, we are going to do this. See that? I got a page out of place. That's why it kept coming apart. We are going to do this for a 3 hole. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take our cover. We're going to put this in. We're going to line it up top and bottom where we want it to be. We're going to clip this. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and poke holes. So about the middle, and then about 1 inch in at the top and 1 inch in at the bottom, 3 holes. Okay, and then we're going to stitch this in. So I'm going to go ahead and get some string, and of course this is waxed linen. That, and we'll get a needle. I'm not going to use the big one today. We'll just use a little one. Y'all have seen me poke myself enough times with the big one. All right. Now, do I want my strings to be on the inside or the outside? That is the question. My blind butt cannot thread this needle. I'm going to try this again. And this is what happens when you get old and blind. Okay, needle threaded. Do I want my strings on the outside or on the inside? Well, I'm going to have elastics, so I'm thinking I want this on the inside. So I'm going to stitch this through. Come up to the top. I know you guys don't see me do this often, but I'm going to do a 3 hole here. And then I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to come back up. And the reason I can do a 3 hole on this is because it doesn't, you know, it's not, this is not something that is imperative that it, you know, it's not meant to last forever and ever and ever. It's only really meant to last for the use of the book. Okay, so we're going to go right over left, and then we'll go left over right. We have a nice little knot. We'll go ahead and trim those. And that is the first pad that we're going to be using. The nice thing about this particular paper is that these pages are perforated, so I can tear them off as I use them. Now we're going to do the second one. Okay? And I'm not going to make a big production out of this. We're going to do a very simple folder for it. And I'm going to show you how to make the third one. So we're going to start with actually the paper on this one and not the folder. So I'm going to clear my desk real quick and I'm going to get the paper and I'll be right back. Okay, so for this one, we're going to use a piece of paper that we had left over. And our book is 8. So let me grab our folder real quick. So our book is 8 1/4 inches tall, and all of our folders inside are 8 inches tall. So we're going to make this back piece about 7.5 inches. So we're going to cut this down to 7.5 inches. And it is currently at 9 1/4. So I'm going to cut 1 3/4 inches off of this. That's going to get us to the height we want. And then it's 4 inches across, and so we're going to do this at 3 3/4. And that's our back piece. And then we're going to cut some paper down. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our paper down to, it's going to be 1/4, the same, it's going to be the same length as this. Now, do we want to keep this on the top or take part of that off? I tend to like to take it off. So I'm going to go ahead and chop off most of that right now. Okay. And then we want our paper to be the same length as our back piece. Going to draw a line, and that's where I'm going to cut this off at. Put in, and you know, cut this a couple of pages at a time. That's still good paper, we'll keep that. And then we want this to be the same width, okay? Which is 3 3/4. So put this in. I'm going to cut it at 3 3/4. And then I'm going to cut this at 3 3/4. So we do have a red line on there, but we'll live with it. You can lessen the impact of that by alternating your pages. Now we're going to stack this up. We're going to put it on our backing. And we are going to clamp this on here straight and really, really tight. Okay? We're not going to put any clamps on the end though. Then we're going to take a scrap of paper. And we're going to take our glue. It doesn't matter what glue you use, okay? White glue works best here. I want something a little thick, so I'm going to use my Montmartre because it's the thickest glue I have. I'm just going to put a line of it down, okay? And then I am going to dip this in there. We want a nice, even, but thick line of this. And we want all of the pages to kind of stick together. So we don't want any pockets. Okay. So once you have that nice line of glue on there, you can whoosh it around with your finger and smooth it out, make it, you know, nice. Once you have that nice line of glue on there, you're going to set this someplace to dry. All right, and it's going to take about an hour. So alrighty, let's move that out of the way, and we'll get this out of the way, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started building the book for this. All right, so we are going to get out our cutting board. Piece of our paper. We're going to go to 8 inches. Take that piece off. And we're going to do this one pretty much the same way we did the other one. We're going to leave it at 12 inches across, but I'm just going to take like 1/4 of an inch off the end here so that it folds in. See, just a little bit. That's it. Into the scoreboard. Scoring at 4 and 8. Nice and easy. Don't rush. Don't put in too much pressure or you'll end up cutting the paper. Okay? All right. Hills into valleys. Valleys into hills. Hill now becomes valley. Hill becomes valley. Okay. All right. Now, again, you can put this on either side. That's up to you. So with this one, what we're going to do is we're just going to cut part of this off. So I'm going to cut off this top inch right here. Bye-bye. Okay. So 1 inch right here. We're going to cut this part off. So I'm going to use my scissors to cut down. And to cut off this inch. Okay. So when I put my pad in, I'm going to miter the back of it, and it'll slide right in this spot right here. Okay. So I want to put some paper up here and decorate over here. So 4 inches across and probably like 2 inches down. So 4 by 2 over here, and then your standard 7 3/4 by 3 3/4 for this side. So let me get my height. And it's just easier for me to work on the board for this. And I can either draw a line and then put it in my trimmer, or I can just go over it with my rotary cutter. All right, 7 3/4. And then we're going to cut a piece that's 3 3/4. And that's going to be our inside over here. And let's see if we have a small piece that we can just use for that top. We might not. You never know. Oh, I don't. But do you know what I do have? I have this. Let me see. So this was just a piece of scrap that I found, and it's got these little trees at the top, and I thought they were kind of cute. So let's go ahead and cut this. We'll see how it works. You know, we'll cut at the bottom. See if I like it. All right. So 3 3/4. I may not like it. I don't like it. I don't. We tried it. I didn't like it. All right. So I'm going to cut this piece at 2 inches. Yeah, that'll work. 3 3/4. Just like that. And then this one will go over here. And I'm not worried about covering this because the pad's going to be over this. So I'm not really worried about covering this. I'm just worried about, you know, covering the parts that will be seen. And we're going to see a little bit up here. So, you know, so we want to make that look good. And then we're going to need, of course, our 4 by 7 3/4 for the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my papers, and I'm going to do my inking and round my corners and all of that stuff. So I'm going to ink here, 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 across the bottom. Of course, the outside, I'm going to round corners here, here, down here, over here. We're going to do that little snip piece over here. Looks good. All right, and then I do want to trim a little bit here. I don't like that. There we go. Muy better. Yeah, much better. Okay, so I'm going to do all my inking, and I'm going to cut my pieces, and then I will be back, and we're going to move on to the next part of this, okay? So this may take a little while because we have to let the pad dry, but, you know, we'll get there, guys. I'll be right back. All right, so we have the outside covered, and we have our inside piece. We have our little piece up here at the top, and so we're going to close this up. And what we're going to do is make sure that we go very close to the edge here. And if you wanted to, you could gusset this, but then you run the risk of the pocket falling out, you know, the pad falling out. So I don't recommend doing that. All right. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and close this up. And let's check on our pad. Nice and dry. It's not totally dry, but it's dry enough that we can get started. Now what I do is I turn it over this way, and I take my scissors and I just very slightly take off a piece on each side. Very slightly. Now, if you don't trust this to stay together, you could stitch it. Absolutely, you could stitch it at the top if you wanted to. I don't find it necessary. And if I have to make this, you know, a little thinner, I can trim it down even more. And it looks like I'm going to need to. Yep. There we go. Now if I want this to go a little bit deeper in the pocket, just take some of the bottom off. Okay. So this is kind of a, you know, you have to mess with it. You have to figure it out. Get it where you want it. I kind of like a little bit of this showing, and that's hanging down. So I'll go ahead and trim some of this paper off the bottom before the final product. But you can see it's inside. You can't see it. Open it up, and there it is. And you can always put a pocket here. And we have, where did it go? Here it is. From earlier, when we cut that slot pocket, we have the triangle from the top of that, which could make a very nice little pocket right here. Just like that. You just cover that with paper and you can have another pocket right here. Okay? So that's the second way of doing it. Personally, I like the stitched in part, but there are a lot of people that prefer this. Okay? So I'm going to trim a little bit off the bottom of these before the final, before I decide what I'm going to do with it. But that's it for part 2. Okay? So in part 1, let's get these out of the way. In part 1, we made a big pocket. Nice big gusseted pocket here. And we made this double pocket piece. And again, you can use the leftover pieces. Where did I put that? Unbelievable. I'm good at losing things the minute they leave my hand. You can add pockets to the back or to the front. You could put a belly band on any one of these. Anything that you want to do as far as that goes, okay? So that was part 1. And then in part 2, we looked at 2 different ways of adding a pad of some sort. This one starts off, it has a nice pocket here, nice little pocket here in the back. Again, this one, we went ahead and we made a pad. And here's the nice thing. Watch this. Comes off just like a regular pad. Okay? So we put a pad here. You can add a pocket to the side if you want. You could make a big pocket that you have to tuck into. You can make a deep pocket at the bottom. However you want to do it. The point was just to show you how this was done. Okay? So that's part 1 and part 2. And in the next part, we're going to talk about the cover. And I'm going to show you a couple of options on the cover. Okay? So if you're new here and you have not done so already, go ahead and subscribe for me. Like me, ring my bell, share me with all your friends, and then your friends can be my friends, and my friends can be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends. And before you know it, we have a giant crafting community. I do go live on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. And I post videos on Mondays and Wednesdays, and any other time I feel like it, really. Let's see, what else? I'm a Gemini. No, kidding. I have 2 things going on in 2022, the first of which are these free classes that I'm offering. You can get more information on those by simply making sure that when you ring that bell that you select the all notifications, and that way you know when these videos get published. The second thing that I'm doing is my 12 of 22 journal challenge, and that is 12 different journals throughout the year. You don't have to do all 12 if you don't want to. That is entirely up to you. But if you would like more information, there's a link in the description box below. You can go down there and click on the link, take you over to a cute little slideshow, tell you everything that you need to know. Let's see. That's it, guys. I hope that you are enjoying this free class, and I hope that it has been informative for you. The next part of this, part 3, is going to be making that cover. So I will probably actually put out a video before that, or a listing in my Facebook group. There'll be something that'll tell you, some of the materials that you're going to need. Okay? That's it. That's all I have. Until I see you guys again, thank you so much. You have a great day and stay well. Bye-bye.